think I'll show you a few things more about the Kindle this time, as I'm continuing the reading of my book on Kindle, Molasses Moon. This is the home screen here on the Kindle Fire, and taking it back and forth you can see approximately what size it is. It's a little bit smaller. It's a 7-inch tablet, a little bit smaller than most of them on the market, which makes it handier for mobility. And I'll show you the home page a little better. Now this Kindle Fire does have more glare because of the color screen and all the extras it has for internet web searching and being more like a regular tablet. But it also allows you to see in color, and I usually have photo series with my books with color and black and white photos sometimes. Let's see, and I'll show you what happens when you click on this. Is the carousel with the books that you have on there. And then if you want, this shows one of my books that's selling pretty well right now, Days of Coffee and Donuts. Let's see. I'm just going to move the carousel. It's easier to do it if I'm looking at it. This is The Last Lunchbox, another one of my short visceral histories that's been selling, and The Price of Black Diamonds, a book that I've recently published on Kindle. So I'm going to go back to Molasses Moon here, and then click on that. Just touch it with your finger. That takes you to that book and the location where you were reading last. So I'll continue there today, but in addition to that, I think what you do is you tap the middle of the screen. It brings up the menu at the bottom. And then I'm going to tap on that little square thing there. It brings up a menu. And that allows you to go to different locations in the book or read your notes and marks. I'm going to tap on instead of the cover, I'll just tap on beginning and show you where that brings you in the book. Remember when. It starts you out with the preface. And I'm going to just tap and turn the pages here backwards. Let's see if I can get that right. That's the previous page showing the opening information. And then I'm going to go back another page, and this gives you the table of contents. And at the bottom there, you'll notice it says photo series. I'm going to tap on that. And there's a group of pictures in here in color. This one shows the attic that I've talked about in the book. And this one shows the stove in '94, or I think that's actually earlier, that you see in some of the videos that I've been doing. That's a very old half coal, half electric stove that we still use. Here shows a series of photos of me with the seagull in Cannon Beach. You can't tell what I'm showing here. And here's one of the seagull. And the book cover for Water Moon Dews. There's two of those books, and here's a picture of me with my dog Tara that we talk about in the book. This is the Black Mac. It comes up in one of the chapters. The old and smoking to start with. Here's what it looked like when it was yellow. Let's see, where am I? Sitting in a junkyard. So that was what it looked like when we were driving it home from Pueblo. And there are quite a few more pictures here. I think I won't show them all, of course, because leave a little bit of some kind of a teaser for you to maybe want to buy the book. Here's actually a picture of the attic, more as it was when I was actually working up there in '94. I'm not sure how well this is showing up, but I really kind of enjoyed working up there. Now I put the menu on the bottom of the screen so I can go do the back button. That's taking me back to the table of contents, and then back to where I left off yesterday or whenever I did the previous video. So I think I'll continue reading now today on chapter 22, but I think actually I left off a little bit before in the previous chapter. Yeah, now I remember. The previous reading was, I purposely allowed it to appear, that showing the emotion, the being depressed and downhearted, just to show in a way that you can just go through those and then come out the other side. Part of this book really is to show the vulnerability and the ups and downs, the emotional swings of being a writer, especially if you're in a long-term freelance project that might never pay off. It's going to take a lot of your time and energy for a long time. Okay. So I'll repeat reading a little bit of it. I think maybe I better take a sip of water first since I'm starting out a little bit later. I always carry a little water jug with me. Okay. My fizz fire, freedom and fun may have been dimmed a bit, but I still have a charge. It may need some chapstick. It may be minimal, and my eyes are sad heavy, but it's there. I think I'll show you another thing here that I use just for the heck of it. This is my little jar of coconut oil. I always buy organic. And extra virgin cold pressed. There's less processing. I have a list mania on Amazon that tells what I use with a lot of these things. I use it for everything, for skin, for cooking. Tastes good. And you can take it orally just by the tablespoonful for the healthy fatty acids. There's a book that I have on my, I have a video on it. I don't know if I have that one. I think I do. It's by Dr. Bruce Fife, called The Coconut Oil Miracle. Very good book. Okay, now I'm a little bit more ready here. I'm going to use my limited charges there, and I'm going to use every bit of it and then go make another one. So there. I think I'll go downstairs and get a piece of cake. This time I made a pecan walnut spice. And I'll get a glass of mint iced tea. It's only 11:20, so I have plenty of time yet to revise and print chapters 18 through here, unless I get sidetracked with new chapters. Don't think I'll have any trouble with wasps today. The sun's shining high, but the wind's blowing up the dirt street outside. Pink gravel blossoms dust clouds. That's true. Our street usually has kind of a reddish pink gravel on it, and sometimes they have what they call red dog, which is ashes left from burning coal, especially when it burns inside of a hill, and then you dig it out, a part that's burned internally inside the earth, and it just makes kind of a red ash, but it's almost would be a real thin, sandy type gravel, and they use that on the streets a lot. So literally, sometimes when you're driving along one of these streets with that red dog on it, they used to use it a lot more than now. Life used to be a whole lot more practical in days gone by. Now it seems like everything's pre-packaged and pre-formed and pre-designed and pre-everything. Well, anyway, we did have pink gravel that blossomed dust clouds that had that pink color to them too. And the sun shining through them. It was really kind of pretty. So this is a fantasy. This is true. Chapter 22. Whatever it takes. Ah, the mint tea's cool and refreshing. The walnut pecan cake spicy, moist, and delightful. And the wind's howling up a mess out there. Maybe it's time I tossed something at Bantam myself instead of waiting for Herman to do it. And maybe I should send the first 50 pages of Molasses to the Italian Reverend. We'll see. I stopped by the Florence Library yesterday after going to Walmart. I had decided what the heck. What could be worse than a holiday hit and run? 2? Not really. Once you've been hit, you're sort of numbed, so that subsequent shocks don't hurt as bad. Mrs. Morelli was there. She hadn't finished reading the manuscript, but was ready to give it back to me anyway. Too ready. From now I can kind of almost want to laugh at this, but at the time, as you might know, it wasn't something that would make you want to smile. She said she'd been gone for a week. I didn't dare ask why. From the looks of her hair, it was almost as badly behaved as mine, but not nearly as thin or limp. So she was way ahead. I didn't think she and her husband had been on a vacation. I didn't have the heart to take the manuscript yet, even if she might have been relieved to be rid of it. I told her I didn't need it yet, to keep it as long as she wanted. I wasn't in a hurry. I didn't know why I said I wasn't in a hurry. I guess I was hurting so badly. I wanted to be nice. You know I like Mrs. Morelli. Making light of the situation, she changed the subject and said the girls sitting at the table in front of her thought there were ghosts in the basement of the library. The girls said Mrs. Morelli was protecting them, the girls, from the ghosts. I laughed and said I was sure she could. I was able to laugh. I didn't say she was probably a witch like me who could handle any ghost. I didn't know if she'd be insulted or complimented if I said that. I'd have been complimented myself. But then I'm proud of my heritage and talents. Of course, I'm not like the woman in The Witching Hour, a novel by Anne Rice. My pets are my friends. I don't believe in familiars with the capital F. I'm not that kind of witch. I don't fill preserving jars with gooey, slimy things either. After leaving Mrs. Morelli's Ghosts and Girls, I stopped by Aunt Mary and Uncle Hoagie's, a block down 2nd Street from the library. Hoagie's undecided about whether to stop taking Lepressor, the pill on page 555 of the pill book. Like so many, it's a drug that eventually steals your memory and makes you depressed, while it's trying to keep your heart in good rhythm. I'm still convinced my uncle didn't have a heart attack in the first place, and that his heart is in better shape than most 20-year-olds. That was proven later to be true. That's me talking from 2012. But that's a long story, too long for even one of my sidetracks. It made me sad to see my 87-year-old uncle agonizing over which way to go. Down the primrose path with strange doctors who say they're helping his heart motor moving. They're keeping his heart motor moving. Or down his own path, taking his chances, but keeping his backbone and brain in order. The test taken before the doctors put Hoagie on indefinite daily doses of Lepressor said he had the heart muscle of a 30-year-old. And they said he should take the pills, even though they didn't know what had made him pass out that day, a few months ago, when he was raking leaves, and his heart supposedly skipped a few beats. He hadn't been in a hospital a day in his life before that. That's why he still lived in his own house, stood on his own 2 feet, and had his own mind and health. The downsides of the medical profession hadn't gotten their clutches into him. He had always been interested in researching anything and everything, including human body maintenance, reading this and that. He had studied mathematical probability and made graphs of capital investments. He had studied physics with me one summer, when I hadn't enough time in high school to cram that subject into all the others I was taking in my college prep course. He was currently giving his wife, Aunt Mary, comfrey tea for her intestinal ulcers and weakened hand bones. He had made the brew from a live plant they had in their backyard. It's possible that his backyard and personal library are healthier places than a few hospitals and doctors' offices. Sometimes I wish Tom's dad had made up his own library. He had a great backyard, being an excellent gardener, but he had only one book. I can't help wondering how he would have fared if he had developed his own library in addition to going to the doctor and to church. For 30 years he had taken $600 per month's worth of prescription medication. Some of these little pills, costing big dollars, counteracted each other. Maybe it would have been best if they had canceled each other completely. He might still be home and know he was there. Either that, or he'd be a farmer in heaven, getting paid for his vegetables. Up there, he'd know trading is valued more highly than giving. Back to the medicine cabinet packed with pills. Some doctors don't seem to care how many medicine cabinets their prescriptions fill. Each prescription is an isolated incident, an island unto itself. Do these doctors know what a grand collection their patients begin accumulating after the age of 40 or 50? Whose fault is this daily pill pushing, this blind collecting of steroids that sap minerals and vitamins? I don't know. But I know I am wary of going to doctors and won't take prescribed pills without understanding all I can about them. I'm especially leery of drugs, which must be taken daily until death do us part. That type of medication delays death, but draws senility. UC tried to type castration instead of medication, but didn't quite get full control of my fingers. I got the message, though. How about you? Nursing homes may be a kingpin of our economy, with so many professionals contributing to them with the delayed death syndrome. Delaying death is great for the living. That brings us back to certain beliefs in religions, doesn't it? The ones who think life is sacred, even to the living dead. When it gets down to it, some of them seem to think suffering is sacred, not life. I don't buy that bill of goods. It isn't good. No, it's not. That reminds me, Sunday night is great for religious documentaries. Tom watched one on TV last Sunday night about end of the world prophecies. He told me about it. It reminded me of the end of the Rose in the Pyramid, when I was trying to cancel the world's end doom sold heavily by Nostradamus, Casey, etc. In the Rose, I said, in a fancy setting, we have a choice of futures, individually and collectively. But prophecies, especially the gloomy ones, tend to pull people away from choice and push toward powerlessness. I mentioned to Tom that I wondered why there weren't any happy prophets. He said the Bible provides a nice ending for the chosen ones. He wondered maybe if the chosen idea wasn't misinterpreted. It could mean that people had a choice, not necessarily in a narrow sense of good and bad, but in a wider sense, as in the Rose. I pondered his idea that maybe the Bible meant we could choose ourselves, as in, I choose me and my own way to live. I can't quite believe biblical prophets promoted a live and let live philosophy. Sorry, Tom, but I'm glad. I'd be glad for that to be true. In some ways, Tom is kinder to people and ancient books than I am. He gives them more benefit of the doubt. I'm sort of partial to my own books and my own mind. I'm hard-headed, I know. Aunt Mary used to call me testadura. She was right. April 14, 1994. Miss Leslie Meredith, Executive Editor, Bantam Books. 1540 Broadway, New York, New York, 10036. Dear Miss Meredith, I absolutely have to have your bright red rooster on the spine of my books. I know this is impossible, especially for an unknown without contacts, who lives in a town not on any map. Rockville is in the foothills of the Rockies. How obscure can you get? But in case it might be possible, in such a case, if the work merits the red bantam, I'll briefly describe my latest nonfiction masterpiece aimed to the widest possible audience. Oh, and I think I'm going to pause there and finish reading the letter next time. Might have to start at the beginning, but that was only a few sentences. So we're still here. Today actually is February 6th, Monday. Time marches on, huh? I wonder if it really does march. I thought it was supposed to tick. Oh, that's my clock. It ticks. I don't know. All my books relate to the concept of time, and in a laws of physics sense. And what I think might be a fact that in order to have physical reality as opposed to just a mental one, where you can manipulate what appear to be things, that to have a physical reality first, time had to be created. But that's another story, another several stories. So here we are, stranded in time, sometimes having fun, sometimes not. What more can I say? Probably a whole lot, but not today. So we'll see you later.